Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Bashim Rakah Quadash, and double honor to the apostles of the great millstone that taught me this truth, and as well as giving my salutations to the 144,000 and including the 1/3 that do follow. And it's your brother Laban coming at you in another video, and this is going to be a part 2 to the lesson that I did before, based off of the greatest gift that Yahweh Shai gave unto us when he died on the cross, and that was the opening for the second covenant, okay, which was the perfecting of pretty much the Israelites overall. So now let's begin by reading Hebrews chapter 10 verse 1. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the corners thereunto perfect. For then would they have not ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have no more conscience of sins. But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. Because when you read the book of Leviticus 4, and I believe it's also Leviticus 23, which is what I have on deck over here, these are laws on sacrifice, right? And they would do this year by year, but yet and still, in all of this sacrificing that the Israelites did, people were still going off and sinning. So it didn't pretty much put away the idea of sin, which is what it was supposed to do. That's what it was supposed to do. The law of sacrifice was there to do away with sins. Okay, so that the people didn't do it no more, but people were still doing the sins. So it didn't change anything. So in verse 4 it reads, for it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Exactly, like I've explained why. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offerings thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. Verse 6, in burnt offerings and sacrifice for sin thou hast had no pleasure, as well as it reads in the book of Psalms 40 and 6, as David prophesied that the day was going to come that the sacrifices would cease, because it served no purpose of sin, of doing away with it completely. In history, you had Israelites that would actually sacrifice for sin because they knew they was going to commit a sin later on, and that's why they did it for. So it didn't really do away with sin in totality. Psalms 40 and verse 6, sacrifice and offerings thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened, and burnt offerings and sins offerings hast thou not required. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book, and it is written of me, which is of Yahweh Shai, and I delight to do thy will, O my God, O my power. Yea, thy law is within my heart. And that's literally going to be the case, which is going to be the new covenant. The law and the statutes and commandments are going to be within the hearts of Israel. So if the Lord didn't give up himself as the sacrificial lamb, then there would be no need for the second covenant. Okay, and as well as if there was no fault with the first one, then there would be no need for the second one. But the Lord does things based on his will, which is, the Lord and his doings is perfect. All right. So the Lord understood, as he seen it in motion, that the law of sacrifice wasn't good enough. And this just goes to show you that the Most High can make laws and break them and come with new laws, because he's the Most High. He can do that. Okay. To serve a greater purpose. Okay. So the agenda of the Israelites is to what? Keep the commandments of the Lord, and to show that towards the other nations. That's why it also reads in the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, where it reads that this would be your wisdom in the sight, as it reads, in your sight of the nations. And in that, guess what? According to the book of Isaiah chapter 2, the other nations would then what? Uphold those laws and those statutes and commandments, because we're projecting that. So that's the goal of the Lord. The goal of the Lord was ultimately for us to be kings and priests, upholding his ways and his traditions. So when the new covenant comes in now, guess what? We're going to be doing that on a regular. It's going to be automatic. It ain't going to be having to force ourselves to do the right thing and then prone to go off. No, that ain't going to be the case anymore. Verse 6, and burn offerings and sacrifices for sins thou hast had no pleasure. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me to do thy will, O power. Above, when he said, sacrifice and offerings and burnt offerings and offerings for sin, thou wouldest not, and neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, lo, I come to do thy will, O power. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second. And by the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahushua, the anointed once and for all. So as well as King David prophesied about the whole idea how the Lord was going to put away the sacrificing, also Isaiah spoke about that. Excuse me, is it Isaiah? I think it's Isaiah. Isaiah spoke about that in Isaiah 31 and 31 to verse 33, where he was talking about how the Lord was going to connect the nation of Israel under this new covenant. Okay, which is what Paul is re-elaborating on. So it goes as far as to read, and every priest standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins, forever, see, this is the key word, or key words, forever. Let's read this again. But this time, Salakia, getting a bit excited. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, he sat down on the right hand of the Most High, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified. So how is this done? Let's go all the way to the point and let's read it. This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord Yahweh. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. Now, where remission of these is, there is no more offerings for sin, especially not for the Israelites. Now, we're going to be doing the offerings of sins, yes, but not for the nation of Israel this time. It's just going to be for the other nations. Okay? Israel is going to be perfect. And even as it expounds in the book of, a little bit more in the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter, it tells you that, also in verse 11 and verse 12, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness and their sins, and their iniquities will I remember no more. So all of us as a nation are going to be new creatures, beginning with those that are sanctified, which are the elect. So again, this is what the Lord put install, or is about to install, excuse me. The Lord is going to install this software in us, and we're not going to be going off anymore. Again, we're going to do away with the current image we're bearing, which is of Adam. So when we go off from time to time, as we do in the body, we're commemorating the condition of the first Adam, the second Adam, which is really Yahushua, being changed to being who he is right now. That's how we're going to what? Be. We're going to bear the current image of Yahushua. Okay? Where we're not going to be sinners anymore. So when there's no sin, guess what? There's no cursing. There's no going down. There's no up and down anymore. All there is just going to be up. We're going to excel as a nation. Now, I might do a part 3 to this just for the sake of time, because I don't have all of the time in the world to do all of this, because I got to, sort certain things out and, fix up a video that I'm doing right now. So, with that, or that I've just done, Salakia. So with that, I'm gonna give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Ba'al Shemi Al Shai Ba'al Shem Rakah HaKodash. And with that, I'm out. Shalom.